rejecting this thing. Can we just have a conversation on a few things here and there, so that we streamline it and we have a non-controversial BBI? But there are people who have politicized it to the extent that even when you tell them that, we are not going to support the no campaign, if you want it to go that way, let it go. Then they start saying things like, oh, you have become cowards. In other words, it is being floated not as something that is supposed to take this country into the future and to give future generations a constitution that becomes the supreme law of the land that governs their lives. We are thinking about 2022 competitions. And finally, Linda.
Yes.
This is how countries begin to fall into anarchy. The things that are happening in this country today are the sorts of things that lead a country into anarchy.
Knowing us, before I let go of you, one would want to ask, would it really be healthy if we agree in unison that maybe we should have a conversation revolving around this? And just how genuine would the conversation be? And just how instrumental would the conversation be to, award us a better document than what we have today?
Constitutions are the supreme laws of nations. All other laws and instruments of governance derive directly from the Constitution. And therefore, a constitution should never be concluded in an acrimonious environment. That was why the great fathers and mothers of this nation spent 2 years going offshore to Lancaster to negotiate a constitution, and they came back having moderately and averagely agreed that maybe let us go with this one.
But equally acknowledging that this is something that can be changed.
That can be changed, yes.
And so what is the...
And even now we agree that it can be changed. But it cannot be changed viably in an environment where people are saying, wapende, wasipende.
Honorable Kagusha, yes, I'm sure you have some reservations in regards to this. Just what is the worst that can happen if we decide today, let's first of all pause this conversation as it is, or not necessarily pause it, but have a progressive conversation revolving around this, allow us time, allow, even the dissenting voices to equally, weigh in and, just incorporate some of these reservations that they have.
Indeed, that is what should be the case. And I think it's important that as a country we accept we are a democracy. It's important that we understand we have come a long way from the times when we were in a one-party state. Is a time we accept that as a country we have been able to progress so much so that we can no longer bottle up other people's opinions. And I do not agree with the people who say that anyone who does not support the document is an enemy of the state, is an enemy of His Excellency the President. I really do not think that should be the case. And equally, I also do not support those who oppose the document and think that the discussion and the debate should not be there. I think that all of us need to be tolerant. All of us need to agree that there must be a discussion, an incisive one for that matter. We must have Dr. Barra, who has his reservations as to the issues that he has raised and clearly puts that it is sugar-coated poison. We must also have Okango on the other side, who agrees that the document has far-reaching positive impact on the ground. And then from that time, we can now start interrogating those issues one by one and in a more objective manner, so that by the end of the day, we have a document that is agreeable to all the people, or even if not agreeable, we have everyone who will have their say on the matter. And of course, democracy is about the minority having their say and the majority having their way. And so for this case, everyone needs to persuade the other. If you don't agree with the document, I need to persuade you about the good things I think are in the document. If I you agree with the document and I don't agree with it, I need to persuade you why I think it is poisonous. And with that approach, we are going to have a document that will go through whereby it has been debated by Kenyans, whereby Kenyans have disagreed to agree and have agreed to disagree. And by the end of the day, we must be able to be proud and happy about what we have, and whatever, if we have new document, then everyone will have to embrace it. In 2010, for example, we had people who opposed the document. We had people who supported the document. Remember, the church, for example, did not agree with many issues that were in the Constitution of 2010. Had the current deputy president who did not agree with the document at that time. Yet, when the document was enacted after a referendum vote and it won with a landslide, at that point, the deputy president himself, the church, and many other organizations and institutions that did not agree with the document now agreed. This is what majority of the Kenyans have agreed to. This is what they have said. And for that reason, then, we are going to agree with the document and move with it. And the deputy president, for example, was among the people who implemented the document on devolution matters right from the word go.
Okay.
And so what we need to have is both sides having an opportunity to express themselves. In my county assembly, for example, I do have extreme. I have people who are completely opposed to the document, completely. I also have members of my county assembly who agree with the document, who passionately sell the document to the other members. And so for that reason, as a speaker, I would have to give all of them an opportunity. I would have to listen to all of them. I would have to allow them to express themselves. I have to organize platforms and ways of in discussing and debating this in a more informed manner. I have to provide for opportunities for training, to all be taken through training. I have to request for documents like I did, and I got quite a number of the hard copies and soft copies, and then for that reason I give them. They are able to go through them, and they're able then to understand and disseminate information as per their understanding.
Did the tone change in a way after Ghana 3? Because I had members of county assemblies here, and that is from the mountain. A majority, I had like 50-50. So 50 of them who were in a way saying no to the document from the word go. But then again, they said after that declaration, they all agreed in unison as members of county assembly, that is in the mountain region, that they will proceed to, sail the document through. So do you suppose there's some level of difference then, that is before the Sagana declaration, and after?
The meeting that was held on Friday between His Excellency the President and the members of the County Assembly did have some difference to the members of County Assembly. And in the first place, just the engagement itself was important because, again, members of County Assembly across the country had a serious complaint that they had never managed to have a meeting with His Excellency the President since the time they were elected in 2017. And so this was a great opportunity for them to engage with him and to also express their reservations about different issues.
Okay.
It was an opportunity for them also to have a communication about many other issues that disturb them and even their historical grievances that they may have had.
All right.
Yeah, and for that reason alone, it kind of eased the pressure between the members of County Assembly and His Excellency the President.
Honorable Kagushia, allow us to take a short break and then we'll come back to you and allow Fred to react on the same as we proceed.
Okay.
All right, after this break.
When the clock strikes 7:30 p.m. every Monday, it means it's time for...
The biggest challenge of starting a business in Kenya is the layers of licenses you need to pay.
The Grind. We tell you the do's and don'ts of business.
But the biggest fear was whether I'm going to make it in business or whether I'll lose my 150,000.
I say business is not about how much capital you have.
The Grind, every Monday at 7:30 p.m. It's been an amazing year in the kitchen here on The Throwdown. We brought you ugali and brown fish by Sophia. The tasty butter chicken from the classic Mayura restaurant. And the sweet Oreo cake dessert by Lillian. This year, we bring you bigger and better from more mouth-watering meals, kitchen hacks, restaurant reviews, and even street foods. Tune in to The Throwdown every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. When the clock strikes 7:30 p.m. every Monday, it means it's time for
The biggest challenge of starting a business in Kenya is the layers of licenses you need to pay.
The Grind. We tell you the do's and don'ts of business.
But the biggest fear was whether I'm going to make it in business or whether I'll lose my 150,000.
I say business is not about how much capital you have.
The Grind, every Monday at 7:30 p.m. It's been an amazing year in the kitchen.
Ready to
here
respond.
Yeah, well, my point was that we, even after Sagana, we have to persuade people. It's important that the approach that is given is more persuasion than anything else. And that way, we encourage cohesion in the country. We live by the BBI itself, Building of Bridges Initiative. And by that, by persuasion, we bring out the dignity of the people, the respect to their opinions, the respect to their freedoms and liberties. That way, I think as a country, we will be feeding our democracy so that it can grow, and so that today and also tomorrow we can have a better country. I imagine a situation where we have a rogue politician who takes up government at some point, and they find that this is what we have been practicing, whereby we are not being tolerant to each other. I tell you, that can be very disastrous to our country. And so we need to persuade more than anything else. And that is my conviction. Sometimes when we talk like this, you hear some people writing you messages telling you, why are you fighting BBI? And I ask them, by saying that we need to be tolerant to everyone's opinion, how then does that become fighting? And that is part of the intolerance that we are finding in some of the people. And at the same time also, sometimes you also find even those who oppose the document get very tolerant with those people who have very positive remarks about the document. And I think that tolerance for us as a country is going to be so important. And if we let that fly off, yet it's something that we have been working on for so many years now.
All right.
If we allow this one to fly off, I tell you, as a country, we will regret, and we will be wishing that we were in the previous years. So let's all make a better future for our country.
One thing to note there, well, in as much as Mheshimiwa has spoken about very important things, trying as much as possible to be diplomatic in his approach on this, while Barack, on the other hand, has come out, bare knuckles, saying that this should be castigated in a way. One, there's this tendency of when you are trying to have a diplomatic approach, it appears as though you are against the document. And also, I'd love for you to tell us, what is the rush after all? I mean, can't it wait? Can't we approach it in this way of diplomacy? Can't we just have a moment of conversation? I mean, as opposed to saying that, well, we understand that this is, dynamic in nature, and so in that way, we can decide any other time to change the constitution or have these conversations, in a different platform, in a different angle, with a different document altogether.
Thank you, Linda. First of all, Honorable Kagushia is a speaker, and in his daily work, he doesn't want to go on record on Hansard that he said something because he is the referee. So I understand him. But constitutional amendment process, as I said, are political. You must really make a decision if you are for the document or against the document. And that is democracy. And I want to agree with the senior here. We should also not view those who oppose as enemies. I'm glad the Deputy President said that after this BBI, he will make friends with the President because they only differ on certain aspects. That is democracy too. Now, this process, like any other initiative, even Punguza Mzigo, it started by way of general propositions. Kenyans have an opportunity or had an opportunity then to present their views. Those who want to present their views, they were invited, they did so. Now, we are at a stage where those views have been formulated into a bill in accordance with the provision of Article 257. The bill has undergone certain levels of public participation, as I said earlier. This bill has been, there have been misconceptions about it. People have been spreading propaganda. And anyone who has read this bill will agree with you. And even in the issues of independence of the judiciary, when people say the judiciary is now being interfered with, but if you look at the creation of the Office of Ombudsman, it currently exists. The occupant is a nominee of CJ, but it has got no structure of vetting. Today, the bill says that nominee shall be vetted by the Senate. Currently, the CJ and the DCJ are all appointees of the President. Have we seen interference? And if we have seen, why are we not correcting it? So we cannot lie. And even this ombudsman, we are also saying that if you read that bill, it says that the ombudsman, the judiciary ombudsman, shall not interfere with any matter that is before a court of law or a tribunal, shall not reopen any judgment by a judge or a tribunal. They will not, because their job is the link between the public and the judiciary, and therefore shall receive complaints and act on them on behalf of the public, complain against the judges and any other judicial officer. It is actually strengthening the judiciary. Number two, if you look at the issue of vetting that Senior has talked about, most of the vettings that we have also seen in Parliament are below par, because they go into Parliament and then they're just approved. We saw the other time when the President was embarrassed when one of the parastatal chiefs who had been arraigned in court previously, his name was forwarded before a vetting committee in Parliament. It was very embarrassing. But today, we still have the NIS, National Intelligence Service, that are doing thorough vetting on everyone, including state and public officers. So, if you look at the bill again, the National Intelligence Act, it has been enhanced to ensure that they expand the vetting scope. That is there. So people don't read this bill. They pick on. And when Senior says that, this bill is a sugar-coated poison, me, I would say this bill is the sugar honey. Because if you read it keenly, you realize that it is actually helping in the implementation of the current constitution that has got difficulties in implementing some of the principles. And I'll give you one. The principle of 2/3 gender. Duale 1 to Duale 6. This constitutional amendment is going to implement it at go. The principle of equality of vote as a result of, aspiration of fair representation. It is going to be implemented by this. The principle that protects members of parliament when they fail to approve the most audited accounts as submitted to them by the Auditor General in dividing revenue, where we have seen counties losing revenue. Today, the amendment Article 203 says that the submitted most recent accounts by Auditor General can now be used in dividing revenue on that basis, even if they have not been approved by Parliament, because we have seen backlog in Parliament, National Assembly particularly, when approving these audit reports. Lastly, we have also said that the constitutional amendment is a choice. The people that are today appear to be opposed to this document, in the last referendum, they opposed it, and today they are the greatest beneficiaries. And I can also assure you, Linda, and when God gives our life, we'll live to tell this story. When BBI passes, the greatest opposers today will be the greatest beneficiaries, particularly when you are going to 2022 election, because it gives most of the senior politicians a platform that they can now try and play around with numbers and see how do we ensure that in my team it reflects the regional diversity of the people of Kenya, so that they move forward and be looked as a formation that is nationalistic. Now, I personally, I believe we might not agree with everything. We might not agree with everything. And remember, when we did Punguza Mzigo, we had 15 issues that were pushing. Out of these 15 issues, most of them were issues to do with socioeconomic burden and political burden. In one way or another, those burdens that we are pushing to be lowered have been accommodated here. And the same people that endorsed Punguza Mzigo are Kenyans. They are the same people that today are endorsing this bill. I would want to see a situation where what we started as a party that will lower the burden that is borne by the majority of taxpayers comes to fruition. Because we agree. We are saying, why can't we wait? The reason why Kenyans cannot wait, you cannot wait any longer for this country to lose a third of its budget to corruption. Today, the amendment to legislation on leadership and integrity, Article 80, says that now we shall expeditiously look at these issues through a framework. Any matter relating to corruption, you cannot wait any longer, Linda, to see our women not getting involved in appointive and elective positions. We must do that now. We cannot wait any longer to see our women in the wards walk 8,000 kilometers in search for water, food, and health care. Today, we are taking resources closer to them at their doorstep so that we fix this issue of economic and social rights. That is why we cannot wait. You have also asked, at a time when economy is bad, let me tell you, it's not that economy is bad.
Make it brief, yes.
This country is a very rich country. Very rich country. Today, the fuel prices have gone up. Give it just 1 hour once they effect that. Do you know how much we shall be collecting from 8 bob alone from all Kenyans? If 8 million Kenyans fuel today, do you know how much is it? Increment of 8 bob per person. That is over 64 million. So what are we talking about? We have, in 1 hour alone, we have a lot of money. What we lack in this country is measures that can protect the funds to the penny. And that's why we look at our amendment and say, wait, how do we lose revenue? We lose revenue through corruption. We lose revenue through mismanagement. We lose revenue through not having a political goodwill. Seal those loopholes. But if we don't agree in one way or another, as I expect, and that's why referendum is a popular vote, you go and take a vote, yes or no. You go and say no. And you go and say yes. And tomorrow we shake hands and say, it was nice doing business. Let's proceed to the next one.
All right. Well, I think I do not want to allow you to respond to this, but really, allow me to just break this news. Some unfortunate news coming our way this morning, and even as the country, we await to bury Simeon Nyuchai, who's also very been celebrated as an incredible leader in the country. Unfortunately, we've also lost one this morning. Garissa Senator Yusuf Haji is dead. This is confirmed by his family. Haji, who most recently chaired the Building Bridges Initiative, that is the BBI task force, has been sick for a while, was flown to Turkey for treatment that is released last year, but returned to the country recently. He has passed on at the Aga Khan Hospital this morning. More details coming your way later on as we keep you up to speed as to what it is that my team will have gathered on ground. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Gentlemen, on that.
Yes, to enjoin myself and I believe ourselves with the family in mourning and to condole with them.
Right.
And to pray for his soul to rest in eternal peace.
Right.
He was a gentleman who approached issues with a level head. He belongs to a generation of leaders who are disappearing, people who could face the storms and remain very calm in the storms. We remember he served previously in provincial administration. Was a PC for quite some time in different parts of the country. And we noticed that he was missing in most of the BBI functions,
Right.
Including the presentation of the report to the president and presence in other places. And it is pole sana to the family.
Indeed.
May his soul rest in eternal peace.
All right, more updates coming your way in regards to that. Fred, unless you want to say something.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate that this has happened. Senator Haji was one of the elders in this country that people were looking forward to. He had words of wisdom to his people. You could see even the time when there was problem at Bomas, he stood up and managed to bring the situation to calm. There's nothing much we can do. God giveth and he taketh. And we believe that the family will find peace. And we pray for the family. And as a country, I think we are mourning a great man who has served in different capacities in this country. He has been in the provincial administration for long. He became a senator. And he was actively serving before he started getting ill. And as Barack Senior says, he was missing for quite some time. You would see when the BBI process was at its last stages of launching, we could see him. And we were told, majority of Kenyans were asking, the media was reporting that he was on. I remember the last picture we saw of him on newspaper was when Raila Odinga and Junet Mohamed had gone to see him at his home when he was unwell. That is, I think, the last time I saw him on the pages of the newspaper. And then we heard that the son, the DPP, also was trying to take care of him.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. May his soul rest in peace.
Indeed. Gentlemen, allow me to cross over to a different story altogether. Oh, you want to say something, Honorable Kagusha?
Linda, you cannot give Okango 15 minutes
Okay.
to give us
Now
a
let's make
lecture.
this 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. I think 1 minute is fair enough for you to be able to respond to
protest
Okango.
that
Okay.
the 1 minute rule comes on board when Barack is being invited to, to speak. But anyway.
No, hold it right there. Let's allow Honorable Kagusha to say something small to the family and friends of Senator Haji.
Yes, indeed, I would like to condole with Senator Yusuf Haji. Senator JP, as Okango has said, being one of the elders that we have today in the political, we have had today in the political scene, aged 80 years, he has really had strengthened energy to serve as a senator and even to have gone through a very rigorous campaign as an elder who was actually almost 80 years, now 80 years already. And Senator Haji is a person who have been able to manage the politics of northern Kenya and northeastern Kenya as well, because he comes from that part and he has been one of the dependable politicians to most of the presidents that we have had in this country. And he was kind of stalwart. And then when President Kibaki came into power, he did give him the Minister for Defense in 2008. And as a president, you don't just give any other person that kind of advocate. And so it seems like he was a truly dependable person to His Excellency the President. And we even saw in 2012, the President again gave him the docket for internal security and provincial administration, although he held that position as an acting minister for a short while. That all tells you that he's a person who have been energetic, who have been dependable and loyal to the leadership of the country.
Right.
And, even when the president today, His Excellency Kenyatta, needed someone to drive his very, very close to the heart agenda, he could not pick on any other better person than Yusuf Haji. May his soul rest in peace. He's been a good politician in the country, and we pray for his family and really condole with his family.
Thank you. To you, Barak.
Okay. Good friend Fred raises very many things. And some of them he really need not flog so hard, because there are things upon which we are agreed.
Yes.
That there are all these good things. And there's no need to continue staying there. He should be addressing the issues upon which there is hostile contestation.
Right.
And helping to explain them clearly so that people are able to say, all right, we agree, let us go together. Or people to say that we don't quite agree, but we will give you the benefit of the doubt, let us carry on. There's a sense in which this thing is framed as the precursor to the 2022 presidential bid. And there are people who are extremely worried that if that is not the case, then they have no platform to campaign on for 2022. We are being told that it is a political process. It should be a political process that is also looking into the future, not a political process that is looking at 2022. Because once we lock in this thing and we start realizing that some of the things we were being told are coming to pass, to hurt and to haunt us, it's going to require another referendum to be able to revisit them. So while this opportunity is still here, why is it so difficult for us to speak to one another? Someone is not even saying, throw away this thing to the dogs. We are just saying, why don't we speak to one another? Just give us an opportunity to put in a word edgewise. We even saw Bishop Oginde telling President Uhuru Kenyatta at the Sitam Valley Road Shrine, Mr. President, just open a little opportunity for us to say something. And this has got everything to do with the genesis of the process. You have heard someone say that there were church leaders in this thing. Why didn't you tell them? Those church leaders did not have the mandate of the church. The church was never asked to name a nominee to the BBI process. The Law Society of Kenya was never asked to name a representative to the BBI. These were the bodies of a few individuals, of two individuals. And there is a manner in which the whole thing convolutes itself. It has got the character of a popular initiative. It also has got the character of a state-driven initiative. It is a mangy dog kind of character. It lacks the character of pedigree. We are even seeing state funds being spent upon it. My good real brother Fred Okango talks about corruption. Have we not seen corruption in this process? That we are seeing MCAs being given an inducement of 2 million grant And Lynn Mengich has made it very clear that the 2 million is just for this particular crop of MCAs, that it will not extend to future MCAs. Why? Why at this moment? And then we have even seen in Kakamega someone saying, and you will be given another 300,000 Kenya shillings. This good thing of ours, why are we using these kinds of inducements? And how can we talk about the fight against corruption when we are making this thing roll on the wheels of corruption? We are hearing people talking about theft, which is a good thing. And there's a sense in which when people talk about theft in this country, they tend to point at a certain individual. In fact, we can just say we can just say they point at the deputy president. They say he's a land thief. They say he has stolen I don't know which money. First, why don't they initiate the legal processes so that they can deal with him once and for all? And while they are doing that, can we be told how it is that some people own 500,000 hectares of land in this country? Where did they get the money to buy that land? Can we be told about the ivory and other gem smuggling from the national parks of this country and the people who have been involved with them? You see, the fact that your father may have stolen for you, or your mother may have stolen for you, or your auntie may have stolen for you, does not preclude the reality that you are handling and you are a beneficiary of stolen stuff. And therefore, when we deal with thieves, we must deal with the thieves. And there are many in this country, and we know them. We know where they are. Can we address that?
All right, well, gentlemen, opening a Pandora's box.
The wise is sufficient.
All right,
those
and we leave it at that.
Wise words of Senior Barak are sufficient.
And I'm glad that he notes that we know. Better make it 30 seconds. However, 30 seconds.
However,
I am glad that he notes that we know some of these individuals.
However, as people who know some of these thieves, and the Kenyans have said, irrespective of your status, irrespective of political affiliation and persuasion, then we can still fix the problem of thievery or of theft. That is why we are saying, even as we revisit the issues of theft that happened those days, Golden Bag, NYS 1, NYS 2, all the way, we must be cognizant of the fact that as a people, that is what is denying us opportunity. Young people, old people, everyone. Theft of public money is what denies us opportunity. We must deal with it because it is the cancer.
I agree.
All right, so you agree to that?
I agree. If this is going to get us to go back to the ivory smugglers
then so
of the 1970s and the 1980s, the gemstone smugglers, the land grabbers,
then so be it.
I agree. Let us pass the BBI like yesterday.
Fortunately or unfortunately, all right. Sure you have officially having progressive conversations.
She's preparing the message as John the Baptist before the arrival of,
All right, let's close that one as of now. It is a developing story. We keep watching on the same. Uhuru takes 2022 war to DP's footstep. I think that's technically what we've been discussing, and we expound some more on that. Motorists to pay more for petrol. I think this has started pinching on the gentlemen that we have on board, and across most of the Kenyans, something that has not been received so well. And yes, Valentine's commemoration as of yesterday, Kitui starts State House bid, and I think that is one of the key things that I had picked for a conversation or for our conversation this morning. Honorable Kagusha, are sure bets in Kitui?
He's an elite that I doubt most of the Kenyans will be able to connect to, and he plays a great role in diplomacy now today across the globe, having been the Secretary General of UNACTAD. But then I'm not very sure that as Kenyans they will be able to connect so directly now to that part of what he has been doing. because he will also be at pains to explain to many Kenyans how that has been helpful to this republic, how the policies that have been made, maybe through UNACTAD, have helped the country to have probably multilateral or even bilateral agreements, trade agreements with other countries across the globe. He'll be at pains to explain to many Kenyans how the country and even this region, the East African region, has benefited through his position in UNACTAD. And those are some of the challenges that I'm expecting he is likely to face. And having also been withdrawn from the ground and been in Geneva for so long, it's going to be a bit difficult also to connect again with the normal Kenyans, considering that a lot has been happening on the ground. So we really don't know whether he's also going to enjoy the backing of other senior political leaders in the country, such that some of them may drop their ambitions for him. We really don't understand that. If that doesn't also happen, then it also means that his is going to be another failed attempt into bringing seemingly a clean, good person into leadership of the country. I remember we had one Olekiyapi, who was seen to be one of the most effective PSs that we had in the education docket and also in the country. Yeah. And even after having been so seemingly clean, he did not have any impact in the country as a presidential candidate. Okay. And so I hope and believe that Bwana Kitui should have thought about this twice before he resigned, unless maybe then he has something else in terms of the support. Otherwise, as it stands now, I think 2022 is going to be about two horses. That is Raila Odinga and
DP Ruto.
DP Ruto. Well, I think it's going to be about the two of them. A donkey, and some of them may not even get to that point of being a donkey.
All right.
And that's where I place him.
All right, interesting ones. And he just resigned 6 months before, or so to speak. And so probably to him and to many, that's really not quite, a huge margin that would probably cost him hugely. And remember, these calls have been there even before he declared it. And so looking at the kind of exposure that he's had and, coming in as an elite and listening to some of the proposals that he fronts, do you suppose then that indeed he's going to be the agent of change and he's likely to clinch this?
I don't know why people keep saying elitists are not good in leadership. Okay. By the way, because you have influence over people, you are basically an elite. Whether you live in the slums and you are the person who has influence in terms of leadership, you are an elitist. So let us not go into that. But I think Dr. Muhisa Kitui is a politician. Remember, he was a member of parliament before. Yeah. Then he became a cabinet secretary. Then he got another job where he was the Secretary General of UNACTAD. I want to believe in his own rights. He has got something to offer. It might not be the usual Kenyan political face that we are used to, but we can remember him. For some of us who were there before, we can remember him. I'm sure Senior was there even before me, remembers him. I don't know what the people of Emmanuel are saying about their son who has now come back to vie. But I want to believe the Western Kenya are today proud again and say we have another one. Mudavadi, Weta.
This is not going to split the votes.
Now I saw Helda Tuoli saying that for the last time the Luya unity again. Our representative for Emmanuel, Senior Barak, will tell us. But you see, Linda, this issue of running, we also presented a candidate, remember?
Yeah.
And our candidate was one of the underdogs. But at some point, the underdogs are the people who changes the game, because this is a game we play.
Right.
They change the game, the underdog. Our underdog changed the game. You never know. Muhisa Kitui would be that underdog is going to change this game.
When you're talking about who exactly are you referring to as a Third Alliance? That is
our former presidential candidate there.
Because
our former, our party presented.
Right.
But now, Look at the extreme that we are looking at in this case. The do or die. I know Raila Odinga, haven't heard him say he's going to run for president. I'm not sure if he's running, but he hasn't said. Yes. But I know for a fact, Dr. William Ruto, a very good friend of mine, has said he's running. And he has demonstrated why he needs to be there. Now, what we are waiting to see is who are these contestants? Because I've also seen Professor Kivutha Kibwana saying they're running. And what are they bringing? It is about what you are bringing on the table, and not just for you and your team, but for the people of Kenya that you intend to lead or you aspire to lead, because those are the people that are going to vote. One of the things that these presidential candidates, all of them must bring on the table, all of them must, if we were to vote them, is they need to lower the economic burden. They need to fix this economy. They need to stop theft of public money. They need to ensure that women and young people are included in the economic space, political space, and social space, because that is their right. And then they need to ensure that this country is inclusive and peaceful. If you are a political, presidential candidate that you are not bringing any of that, then you can go and sell mandazi.
You know,
because it's not possible.
If you listened to him, he articulates some of these issues, actually a majority of these issues, so well so that it would get you convinced. And in most cases, that is what we witness, even with the manifestos that we are always presented with. Very beautiful manifestos, but eventually such is not the case. One, how does he sell himself as a national outfit? And importantly, could we look at some of these issues that he speaks about and say that indeed he has good plans for the country, plans that he's likely to implement?
I listened to Dr. Makisa Kitui last evening on TV, and I have listened to him many times before. And I started listening to him when I was a young man at the University of Nairobi in the 1970s. I can confirm I saw him there. He has always been very clear, very focused, and he just gets better with
every
each
day.
passing day. He's like wine. He just mellows with each passing day, in fact, with each passing moment.
So this is better in speech or better
even in focus. You must have a vision. You must know where you want to take the country. And you are not going to be doing it alone. You surely are going to have people who are like-minded, who are going to work with you, who are going to be in the right places at the right time, for the right reason, doing the right things for the right ends. I heard him talk about management of the national debt. I heard him talk about borrowing within that context. I heard him talk about how to rejig the economy. I heard him talk about how to deal with corruption. And my good friend Fred Okango here has got that as one of his pet topics and subjects. And I also agree that when you talk about the elite, you have to be very careful what you are saying. Professor Nick Wanjohi, when I was a first year student at the University of Nairobi in 1979, told us that even the village witch doctor is an elite. And for a long time we had a debate on that, and eventually he convinced us. But even the person we call the Kuru in the village is an elite because he exercises influence. We here, seated here, we are part of the elite.
Correct.
Because we are influencing people. People are listening to us and they are following the things that we say. Uhuru Kenyatta is an elite. William Ruto is an elite. All these people who are on the stamps asking for votes who want to be president are members of the Kenyan elite club. So here is someone who says, I have come. I am offering myself. And I think that without a doubt, he is certainly one of the best. If we were looking for the qualities of leadership as a country. And that is where the challenges that Speaker Kagusha is talking about come on board. What do we place on the weighing scales of leadership when we are looking for a leader? His first challenge is that he must go back to Emmanuel and convince,
Speak to his people, he says
convince,
so.
convince our people
Yeah.
that he has not come to spoil for anybody. Already there are people who are saying, oh, one more spoiler.
Yeah.
And I haven't even declared my own presidential intents as yet. And when I do, they'll say, oh, now.
Spoiler number 4.
Spoiler number 4.
Spoiler number 4. So we must remember
Yeah.
that in central Kenya here, for example,
Yeah.
they have, if we consider that they are the ones who fielded, although I don't want to look at it in that parochial sense, but for purposes of conversation,
Right.
they have fielded several presidential candidates at once.
At once, yes.
At one point, there was Kibaki this side, there was Matiba on that side. And they said, oh, Kibaki has come to spoil for Matiba. I don't know how true that was.
All right.
Then there was a time when there was Kibaki, and there was Uhuru, and there were also contestants from other tribes. That did not stop Kibaki from winning. Then there was a time when there was Kibaki, there was Karua, there was Mwite, there was Mwiru, and there were other people whose names we can't even remember and which perhaps don't even need to be remembered. But Uhuru Kenyatta beat them all.
Oh, yeah.
And that has gone on and on repeatedly. It's up to the people of Kenya. The biggest challenge.
Let's not run to the people of Kenya. Let's focus first on the people of Mulembe. They are not known for, that thing that you'd say, they can easily say that this is the person, in as much as we have 50 of us around. In most cases, they have been considered to be people who, democratic enough to probably not focus on one candidate, or democratic enough to decide that they will deny their own and award somebody from a different region.
I don't know where you have picked up that
is it not the case?
Script of wisdom, Linda.
Okay.
Because I'm aware that in 2013, the people of Murembe, if you look at their presidential basket, they significantly voted for Mudavadi.
Yeah.
But Mudavadi also made certain mistakes because he took the people of Murembe in 2007 to Raila Odinga. Yes. And they voted for him in massive numbers. Certainly, even if there were some who voted for Kibaki, the 2007 votes went to Raila Odinga through Musalia Mudavadi. But when Musalia Mudavadi decided to drop Odinga, he did not have a moment to sit down with the people of Murembe and tell them that let us go away. This place where we are sitting is no longer good for us. Let us go away. So some remained there in a stupor because he had taken them there. But significantly, they voted for him.
Some are still there as it stands today.
In 2013, the people of Murembe once again significantly voted for Raila Odinga, courtesy of Mudavadi and Wetangula. It is the same as the people of Rift Valley, Kalenjin, voted for Uhuru Kenyatta in 2013, 2017, courtesy of Ruto.
DP,
and in 2007, they voted for Raila Odinga, courtesy of the same William Ruto. So I think we need to exercise and take away that gospel.
Well, they still start on this other side. We can only wait to see how they get to switch in this one. It's really indeed
it's going to be
an
a challenge,
interesting one.
as I've already said.
Noted, yes.
Kagushia is right. Mkhisa Kitui has been away for a long time. There's a whole voting generation in perhaps it's hundreds of thousands in Western, certainly in Kenya in its millions, which has no idea who Mkhisa Kitui is. As a Christian gentleman, once again, I'm reminded of the verse in the Bible where it says, and there came to power a new Pharaoh who did not know Joseph.
All right.
That is the challenge that he has. He may have done very many good things, and he has got 16 short months to tell these people who have never heard of him,
Right.
who he is.
So the elite conversation or the elite card has been challenged, Honorable Kagushia. I come back to you, to respond to that, but importantly also, in as much as he would not declare this, accept this for that matter, some voices have, in a way, thought that, well, he is probably a project of whom we do not know. One, if he's a project with the elite kind of argument, do you suppose he's the kind of person who can be tamed by the people who are puppeteering him in the event that such is the case?
Well, the issue of elite, as has been explained by both the gentlemen about all of us who have influence over others being elites. Really, that is an elite by definition. But I refer not to the elite by definition, but the elite by the perception. And politicians in Kenya, when they are referred to as elitist, it is a negative connotation to mean that they look disentangled, they look not in touch with the reality, they don't look in touch with the people. So really, I put the issue of elitist through that connotation, where it is something that majority or most of the Kenyans will not want to associate with a person whom they feel that they do not have touch with them. So that is basically the kind of an elitist I'm talking about, but not the dictionary elitist. If you look at this gentleman, Mukisa Kitui, and look at the kind of a record and the kind of perception that is sold about his capabilities and his abilities, I want to compare him to Kivutha Kibwana, who is a local person, so to say. Now Mukisa Kitui is an international brand, and that should really be a good thing for a country. I'm not saying, and I'm not trying to vilify Mukisa Kitui just for the purposes of having been at that international platform. Really, that should be a positive thing for us as a country. But if you compare him to Kivutha Kibwana, professor, who has been at the local scene and who seems to kind of enjoy the same perception that Mukisa Kitui would be enjoying. Okay. But him looks also to be a little bit more in touch with the ground, looks to be more in touch with the reality of what happens and what is happening currently in our country. Okay. A person who also looks and seems to be streetwise as much as he is a senior, or probably by definition. If I was to pick a project, then I would probably be picking Kivutha Kibwana as a project rather than Mukisa Kitui as a project. Okay. And I'm just trying to compare the two gentlemen because you need to get a project that can also easily sail through, and a project that can easily be sold. Yeah. And I like the way Dr. Barak has put it, that we have 16 short months. Try and sell this project to Kenyans who may not have an idea of who Mukisa Kitui is at all. And that's the reality that we find ourselves in. And also looking at the way our politics are framed and the way they have been set so far on regionalism, he doesn't seem to, of course, at the moment, to enjoy that regional backing. Okay. And I wonder if the other regional kingpins, because there are quite a number from Western Kenya, whether they are going to give him that space.
I think I started by saying, if you would remember, he did not even declare this a while back, but most of the people who are talking about it, go on social media, you find Kenyans trying to endorse him as probably one person who would come. A majority of people used to speak about that. And at some point in time, then I would want to ask if this decision came along as a result of what he was hearing around and the pressure that was coming from the people. Again, would it be a wise move for him to take that card? Was he ready for it, or is it because of the pressure? Sometimes the pressure can really get you thinking, so they think I am good, so why not?
Actually, I think more Kenyans have endorsed Kivutha Kibwana, Professor Kivutha Kibwana, online and in social media and in those pressure groups.
I think they have been endorsed in equal measures, or so to speak. gentlemen?
Yeah, there has been that kind of endorsement. I agree, but I was just trying to say, comparing with
Kivutha Kibwana?
I think there has been much more endorsement about him. And I've seen more people saying, if it is Professor Kivutha Kibwana, then we are going to probably be electing him. So, but again, I think it's very, very important for you to take the public endorsements with a pinch of salt.
Okay.
I personally get a lot of endorsements for a certain political position every other day. I get even delegations. Sometimes I am even asked if I could even go for the governor. They say, no.
There you go.
Why don't you go for this? But I get that every other day. And should I now rush to taking a position of whatever nature because I'm getting pressure from people, or because they have come in huge numbers to ask me to do so? I think that should be a judgment of every other political leader to make.
Okay, well, let's close this one, gentlemen. Is Kivutha Kibwana going to be a spoiler, or who is going to be a spoiler for who in this scenario, in as much as we say it's a democratic space, and, you know, in most cases we cannot fail to speak of, okay, well, this is going to be an undoing for this person, or this is going to work out well. If they come in together as a, as a team, makes it even better.
Linda, if you remember the US elections, there are other candidates that I'm sure you don't remember their name by now.
Yes.
But there are two gentlemen that you'll forever remember their names, Donald Trump and Joe Biden, because of how visible and focused they were in that campaign.
Yeah.
Even in Kenya, as we approach 2022, there'll be so many newcomers, there'll be so many people, but at the end of the day, there'll be two gentlemen, or a man and a lady, or two women that we shall be focusing on at that time. Mukisa Kitui says he is not in the forest, and that's why he can see the better view of the canopy. But sometimes you must be in the forest so that you see the underroots, what is happening there, the rotting in the roots, the unwatered plants. That's what you need to do. So sometimes being outside the forest for long can also cost you. But we went to see. When he goes to his village, where Barak Senior and team comes from, Emmanuria, and the rest of the villages, we'd want to see the reception we will get. Okay. Because Kenya, we also know that the tribal mobilization, the tribal endorsements, the political, we are regionally and ethnically mobilized to vote for our own. That is what will determine a lot of things. Already, as Barak says, he is now being called a spoiler. But I don't think there's any problem with the public endorsements. Public endorsements are a way of telling you that, look, we have viewed you, but we think as a people that you deserve this. Can you give it a try? There's nothing wrong with doing that. Yeah. The only problem is when you go there blindly, not knowing what you're getting into. Muhisa Kitui is not just an ordinary Kenyan politician. He has got international experience. He has got, remember the first time of President Kibaki, where the economy performed so well? He was one of the ministers there. So give it to him. He has got some credibility. Now, what we wait to see, even with Kivutha Kibwana, who has served as a governor, people, the civil society have been telling him, you're the next president. But wait a minute, are there other obstacles beyond just what people are looking at? There are many. What I would want to say as a voter and a Kenyan goes back to what I was saying. How do we elect our MCAs, Member of Parliament, Senator, Governor, and the rest? We elect them by what they promise to do and by their track record. That is what Kenyans want to see. So that there is an experience, then there is what you convince us about, then there's you on the personal integrity and the suitability and the capability of your own. That is the requirement in law to elect a public officer. We want to put these guys on the scale when the right time comes. When you put them on the scale, the first scale will be look at their profile, what they've done. The next scale will be subject them to a debate or a public engagement. The last scale will be provoke them a bit to see how they react, because we have seen people who speak good English talk so well, but the worst people, we have experienced them even from our political parties, where they speak so good English, you think they're the panacea of all the problems, but then when given opportunity, they're the worst than the devil. So what we are saying today, any candidate, particularly those who want to lead this country at the top, they must also learn from the people who have been in that seat before. Don't be pushed, be convinced, but above all, ensure that we have what it takes, and not only what it takes for you, but what it takes for the people of Kenya to put you in that seat, because that's what we're looking for.
All right, as communications advisors, we get to close this one. In most cases, the communication strategy is...
I just pointed out an observation.
Okay.
I don't want to introduce a new issue, but it's interesting the way Fred Kamo talks and the way he refers to some people who speak good English, even in their political party. I'm afraid Fred has the Third Way Alliance party has been swallowed by other bigger political parties, and
Not at all.
it doesn't seem to.
We have to. I mean, your supporters have to be worried. It's probably
dates.
But I don't think Kibushe is our supporter.
They to write well. I hosted them here in Nyeri, and they seem to be a very good team that was working together. I don't know what happened, but your guess can always be as good as mine.
Is the face out? Is the face?
No.
Is it because the face?
I think what Speaker Kibushe is saying might not be true, because Speaker is not a member of Third Way. Speaker is a member of Jubilee, and I would want to encourage him to come to Third Way Alliance, because his ideas are more or less like those of Third Way. You leave Jubilee because you have problems. Come to a new house. I welcome you. But I can't assure you, Speaker, that
have read Jubilee.
No. That's not true. That's not true. The truth of the matter is, as a party, we believe in certain ideas, and we have to pursue those ideas. The ideal of ensuring that this country has got resources to the bottom, to the lowest unit of devolved fund. We believe in that. We believe that we must respect the rule of round devolution, and we are protecting it. We also believe in young people getting involved in politics. That's why some of us are here.
Okay.
So, Speaker Kibushe, don't worry. Everything is under control. And if they chenga you, I can give you a ticket.
All right. What?
The Okamo I have debated with today is different from the Okamo I have always debated with.
Well, all right. So that's an interesting one, and like you rightfully put it, probably a subject for another day. Coming in of strong contenders like we see today, that is on the race to presidency, that is 2022. What should it speak to the already, existing contenders, or better say the people who've already declared their interest, and to some of them who are dilly-dallying, they're not telling us whether they're going to be there or not, but their actions sort of show us that they're going to be there.
Yeah, and as I get there to correct the speaker, Third Way Alliance and Okango have not been swallowed.
Yeah.
Third Way Alliance is in the process of trying to swallow Jubilee.
Oh, okay, all right.
They're the ones,
this is a strong one coming in, so the others should be worried.
They're the ones trying to swallow them, so give them time.
Okay.
And in the fullness of time, they might very well
surprise us.
Thank you, Stephen.
Swallow them. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Now, Mkisa Kitui, when I watched him last evening, was calling for a sober campaign environment, and he's going to attempt to put issues on the table.
Yeah.
Whether the Kenyan political space can listen to issues or not is going to be the next question. That he either has the opportunity now to be the disruptor who helps to get us back to a focused campaign, or conversely to be swallowed by that space and to become one more of them. Because there are certain environments which you get into hoping and expecting that you can bring change, but instead they swallow you and they distort you. The first thing that he's going to have to reckon with, and you can put this down because it's going to be a point of reference in a very short while to come. The first thing he's going to have to reckon with are hired goons.
Okay.
In his own backyard. When he gets there attempting a triumphal entry like the one he attempted in Nairobi, he was lucky. He met empty streets. And he was waving more or less at cars and at buildings and
and
trees.
the few who knew that he's coming,
In Bungoma, he's going to find hostile, hired goons who will meet him with placards telling him you are a spoiler.
Okay.
Because he's trying to play some people off their altar. And wherever he goes in Western, he should be prepared. And I hope that as a political operative of he is prepared to deal with them. When you have lived in the West for a long time, your perception of things at home tends to get a little distorted. You start seeing things through those prisms, which are fairly orderly prisms, and you expect that the same sense of order will be here. Hence, when he came back yesterday, it never occurred to him that if he did not rent a crowd to meet him, like other people who have made triumphal entries have done, Ken Matiba, Raila Odinga, and others, that there will be nobody to meet you and you will be waving at trees. Unfortunately, when he goes to Western, they may not even give him the comfort of waving at trees and at buildings. They will cause fracas. But within those fracas will be his opportunity to start rising to public visibility.
Yes.
And it's going to depend on how he manages it. Otherwise,
and probably initiation to streets, that street aspect that Kabusha speaks about. Allow me to cut you short briefly, Daktari, and cross over to different conversation altogether. Garissa Senator Yusuf Haji is dead. That is one message that we received this morning. Haji, who most recently chaired the Building Bridges Initiative task force, has been sick for a while, flown to Turkey for treatment last year, returned back to the country, and he passed on at the Aga Khan Hospital this morning. And briefly, we want to talk to the Speaker of Senate, or Senate Speaker Ken Lusaka, who joins us now via Skype, so that we can get his view, first of all, on what it is that this would mean on phone call. All right. And if you can hear me, Honorable Speaker, good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for finding time to speak to us this morning.
Thank you so much.
As I allow you to condole with the family and friends of the senator, what then does this mean? What way forward? First of all, what was the relationship like for you and the senator that is in Senate? And also, what does it speak about now the progress of the BBI?
First of all, let me take this opportunity on my own behalf and my family and the Senate to convey my sincere condolences to the family, friends, and relatives of the late Mohammed Yusuf Haji, who until his death this morning has been the senator representing Garissa. I remember Senator Yusuf Haji as a very sober debater and elder, and who brought a lot of sobriety in the House. Anytime we had very contentious issues, we would always revert to Senator Mohammed Yusuf Haji to bring sanity in the House. We are going to miss his contribution definitely as an elder in that House. And I also remember him so well, even during his days as the provincial commissioner, having also served in the provincial administration as a district concerned as a district commissioner, as a very firm, soft-spoken but very firm administrator. Even in the Senate, he was very, very soft-spoken but very firm. He's somebody you will not just sway because of what is going on. And I remember him fondly during the formula discussions in the Senate, where the House was so much divided. He's one of those who I used to consult very closely as the Speaker to try and bring sanity in the House. Of course, we also remember him for chairing the BBI, and we know that the BBI is now on course. That is something that he leaves behind as a country, because the country was so much divided, and for the president, his excellency the president, and the former prime minister, having picked him as to chair that BBI was a vote of confidence in him, because through him, then we were able to get a document that is now being discussed, and a document that will be coming to the Senate. It's unfortunate that the document will come in his absence, but we thank him for chairing that particular committee and for the views that they collected from all over the country. So as we mourn him, we will remember him for many, many, many things. Some of us have served with him closely. This
so much, Senate Speaker. We hope to engage you some more on this. It is a developing story, and even as we get details and more people coming to condole with the family, we'll be engaging the leaders as we also update you on the way forward. We'll also be having more leaders joining us this morning to equally condole with the family. We're looking to get a hold of Adam Zulo, who also worked with the senator, or in capacity or in his capacity as co-chair of the BBI, so that we also get to hear then what this would mean to, of course, this incredible or very instrumental process of the BBI. But coming back to you, gentlemen, as we close on this one, I'd love for you to, briefly tell us what way forward for the national, that is the party, the ruling party, or so to speak, Jubilee. Seems like, things are irreparable, so to speak.
I think I go first.
Yes.
I think Jubilee.
Maybe reason enough why Kagusha should cross over to this side.
I told him, and I'm sure he will do that. And that's why we are swallowing them.
Yes.
As the senior said. I think Jubilee has reached a point where the challenges are so many. And I keep saying that one of the things that Kenyans should dread most is when a ruling party is divided right into the two, and two leaders are pulling in opposite directions.
Right.
It tells the public that even implementation of the manifesto upon which they were elected on is an impossibility. And therefore, it calls for a sober situation for the people to understand exactly how they are going to arrive at the level where they will be, the government will deliver what they were promised. Lastly, I want to say, political parties must remain institutions. They must remain institutions, whether with the exit of Okango, they remain. With the exit of Barack Muluka, they remain. With the exit of Speaker Kagusha, they remain. Because those institutions attract people through their ideologies. And I pray that Jubilee as a party to remain as an institution, even though the leadership have challenges. But nothing stops the leadership from also reconciling and having a way forward. Because this is not just any other political party. This is a political party that is the ruling party. Kenyans in the next 17 months will be looking at what else have they not delivered that they promised us. What else are they delivering that they promised? And what else are they going to do to better the lives of Kenyans? Because they are the ruling party today. The push and pull in this party has also been aired in public. The dirty linen have been washed in public. People have threatened the other. It's unfortunate, but you know what? Politics also demands that when such things happen, you take the next move. I want to believe President Kenyatta has a move, the Deputy President has a move. Those moves, whatever they are, must be for the benefit of the people of Kenya.
All right. The Deputy President remains, confident that he is loyal to the party leader, that is President Uhuru Kenyatta. On the other hand, he comes out bare knuckles saying that, if you are part of this government, then you should speak what is about this government. But then again, he equally says, if you feel like the government is not doing well, then step out. At this point, can we even talk reconciliation briefly?
The matter of reconciliation, in my view, is a difficult one, because as Okango says, they are already washing the dirty linen in public, which is very unfortunate.
Right.
And it's unfortunate from two vantage points. First, I think because Jubilee itself was fashioned as a special purpose vehicle. That vehicle was to deliver the presidency and to win a majority of the votes in various other electoral positions, and that happened. And then it lost any further usefulness, unfortunately, because if it had not lost that usefulness, if it had remained an institution, as Fred Okango says, they would just get back to the party and discuss some of these things that they are talking about. If the president wanted his deputy to leave, he would use the party instruments to remove him from the party.
Okay.
And once he's removed from the party, he would cease being
The deputy president.
the deputy president.
Correct.
Yes.
But he cannot, because the president himself killed that party. When people were telling him, summon organs, convene the organs of the party when it was still one, he did not. And now he cannot even try. Even when he goes to Sagana to call people from his own backyard to a meeting, which meeting tries to pass as a visit to central Kenya, which it is not,
Yeah.
because he may very well have just called those people to State House. He can't call all of them. He calls them selectively.
Yeah.
But more astounding is why a sitting president is not able to call his deputy, lift the phone and tell him, I want you in State House tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. And the deputy president, I want to believe, will be there. And the president will tell him what is troubling him. But when the president starts coming out in the afternoon and he's looking very unhappy, he's looking as if he has been entertaining himself. And he's still under the management of that which he has been entertaining himself with.
Okay.
Yeah? It starts becoming very worrying.
Right.
And some of these leaders, when you listen to them, you can see that they do not even respect the public.
All right.
When you want to come to speak to the public, you must first of all begin by checking yourself and asking yourself, am I ready in this comportment? Am I ready in this temperament to go out to
As we
speak,
close?
to speak to the public?
All right.
But it is a sign of the frustration and therefore of the difficulty that any reconciliation would come up
Out of
against.
Okay. All right. That is also where we're going to stop it at, but I'm sure Kagusha would not allow me to do so without speaking to him or without allowing him say something about this. So in 30 seconds, because you're a Jubilee, party member.
Yes, of course, not again. Now, on the issue of Jubilee Party, I am personally embarrassed about what the party is portraying to the rest of Kenyans. First, by the disagreement at the very top, that is very embarrassing on its own. Again, also by impunity. We have a lot of impunity in the political party headed by the SG Tuju, Raphael Tuju.
Yeah.
I was very embarrassed last week when there was this fraudulent removal of the Speaker of Nyandarua County, which as far as I'm concerned, it's illegal and doesn't hold. That the political party wishes the Speaker is removed. But the political party is unable to convince its MCAs to remove the Speaker. And the Speaker is supposed to be removed by 30 MCAs. The political party cannot raise 30 members of county assembly. And this has gone on for 2 months. They cannot raise that number. And so what happens? 30 minutes before the third impeachment process takes off, the political party suspends ostensibly the members of county assembly from Nairobi,
right,
and commands that they're not going to take a vote in the county assembly in Nyandarua. And that is how Tuju doing that, and passes that letter secretly to some of them on social media. I don't think that is my political party. Extremely embarrassing, impunity, and disregard the rule of law. I think we need to rethink how we are conducting this party. Raphael Tuju himself need to step down, resign as a Secretary General, and have a person who can obey the law and who can follow the due process of the law. The political party does have its its constitution. We don't ask for much when we ask. Let's follow that constitution. So I'm embarrassed, to say the least.
All right. Well, another conversation. This conversation for another day. I'm sure it's something that we'd love to talk about some more, especially on that aspect of the party's Secretary General. Lots of questions arising in regards to his leadership or his way or his style of addressing issues. Fred Okango would have been in a better position to tell us just how powerful as a party, Secretary General they are, and so to speak. But we leave it at that as we look forward to another day where we can talk about that. John Kagushia, Speaker in Nyeri County, it was good having you. Dr. Barak Muluka, Communications Advisor, it was good having you this morning. And lastly, Secretary General Third Way Alliance, Fred Okango, thank you so much for that. We cross over to a different conversation altogether, even as we give you updates on what hits the editorial desk.
Clock strikes 7:30 p.m. every Monday. It means it's time for...
The biggest challenge of starting a business in Kenya is the layers of licenses you need to pay.
The Grind. We tell you the do's and don'ts of business.
But the biggest fear was whether I'm going to make it in business or whether I'll lose my 150,000.
I say business is not about how much capital you have.
The Grind, every Monday at 7:30 p.m. It's been an amazing year in the kitchen here on The Throwdown. We brought you ugali and brown fish by Sophia. The tasty butter chicken from the classic Mayura restaurant. And the sweet Oreo cake dessert by Lillian. This year, we bring you bigger and better from more mouth-watering meals, kitchen hacks, restaurant reviews, and even street foods. Tune in to The Throwdown every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. When the clock strikes 7:30 p.m. every Monday, it means it's time for...
The biggest challenge of starting a business in Kenya is the layers of licenses you need to pay.
The Grind. We tell you the do's and don'ts of business.
But the biggest fear was whether I'm going to make it in business or whether I'll lose my 150,000.
I say business is not about how much capital you have.
The Grind, every Monday at 7:30 p.m. It's been an amazing year in the kitchen here on The Throwdown. We brought you ugali and brown fish by Sophia. The tasty butter chicken from the classic Mayura restaurant. And the sweet Oreo cake dessert by Lillian. This year, we bring you bigger and better from more mouth-watering meals, kitchen hacks, restaurant reviews, and even street foods. Tune in to The Throwdown every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. When the clock strikes 7:30 p.m. every Monday, it means it's time for...
The biggest challenge of starting a business in Kenya is the layers of licenses you need to pay.
The Grind. We tell you the do's and don'ts of business.
But the biggest fear was whether I'm going to make it in business or whether I'll lose my 150,000.
Affairs reporter Joash Onsari, who will be keeping us up to tabs in regards to the same. He is set on standby from Kisii to update us on what the proceedings are like as it now. Onsari, if you can hear me, good morning.
Good morning to you, Linda Alela. We are coming to you live from Gusii Stadium, where the funeral service of the Kisii veteran politician Simeon Nyachae is being conducted ahead of his burial at his village in Nyosia in Nyaribari Chache, Kisii County. And we are coming to you live from this particular venue, whereby Kenyans are finding their way inside here so that they can witness what is happening here. It will be remembered that Simeon Nyachae was born in 1932 and he passed on earlier this month on 1st at Nairobi Hospital. And he's been sick for long, that is according to the family members, and he was a very strong politician from this region, considering he served in 3 regimes, where in these 3 regimes he served under Jomo Kenyatta, he served under Mwai Kibaki, Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, and he tried to vie for presidency. Rather, he vied for presidency in 2002, but he failed. He garnered over 300,000 votes and he became the 3rd in that particular contestant. And here we are expecting several political leaders across the country, because he was a leader who was respected, considering he served as a cabinet secretary in the Ministry of Finance and also industrialization, and also served as the member of parliament for Nyaribari Chache. So we are at Gusii Stadium. We'll be keeping our viewer updated on what is happening on this end, so that we'll be in a position now to tell the society what is happening from the Gusii Stadium. Back to you, Linda Alela.
Right, thank you so much, Joash Onsari. I am certain that we're going to be getting more updates from you later on. That is in regards to these processes that are taking center stage down there. And so we'll look forward to get more information on that. But away from it, we get back to the conversation, and we are getting to that aspect where we look at, matters eye care, pretty much important that we all have these conversations, and there's so much that we can discuss about this, but then again, time will not allow us, courtesy of the things that have been happening, coming from the breaking news of the demise of Garissa Senator, that is Yusuf Haji, and so much so. But all the same, we will try our level best to address something in regards to the same as we proceed. And joining me for this conversation are able guests that are from Lapierre, Kenya, and of course they'll be taking us through this conversation. Diana Langat, who's an optometrist, and Alan Matata, who's the country director, Lapierre Glasses Kenya, so that they can take us through this conversation and they equally tell us what it is that they are doing that is special in the country. Good to have you, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to have you this morning. And I think I'll go straight to the conversation. Apologies because we're starting late. As I have mentioned, sometimes with the newsroom, you expect so much of dynamics, especially when new breaking news hits us. And straight to it, tell us briefly about Lapierre, Kenya, and Lapierre at large. I don't know why I'm saying Kenya, and its main agenda in the country.
All right. So Lapierre is an organization that was created to address 3 problems with eye care. The very first problem is accessibility. We have, in Africa in general, more than 500 million people who need corrective glasses to see better or to be able to perform better in their jobs, at school and at work, and for a better livelihood. And the reason that they don't have it at the moment is accessibility. They have no places to test, or the cost is too high. And how we address this is by providing free testing. The other issue is the cost. When somebody needs glasses, for example, the typical cost is between 15,000 to 30,000.
Right.
which is beyond the capabilities or the reach of most of the population. And so what we've been able to do is we create our own frames for glasses.
All right.
And this reduces the cost significantly, and we are able to provide glasses at 3,400.
It's the same quality or good quality for that matter?
Yes, absolutely great quality. And in addition to that, what we do is we allow for a range of styles, colors. For example, what I'm wearing, we have a few displayed here in front of Diana just to show the variety, but we have quite a long variety. Yes.
All right, well, in most cases one would want to ask, how then do you know the best variety, I mean the best shape, the best that is glasses for yourself and all that. I'm sure Diana will be taking us through all that, but before we even get to that and getting to understand what it is that you've carried for us this morning, as a qualified optometrist, what's the biggest challenge we are having in Kenya concerning refractive errors?
So just to mention a few, there's lack of awareness among a lot of people. People are not aware they have refractive errors, and mostly they come to the facility when the vision has really deteriorated. But at the end of the day, we get to help them also. We improve their lives by getting them to have a better vision. Also, there's an assumption that once you start wearing glasses, now your vision gets worse, which is not true. Glasses help you see clearer. So with or without the glasses, your vision over time is meant to change. But with glasses, you're in a better position since you'll have a better vision. Plus, you also avoid having your eyes strained, because there is a condition that once you don't get a good correction, you might get conditions like retinal detachment, which will be harder to manage than just getting a simple refraction and having glasses.
And speaking of which, now you talk of a scenario where people sometimes seek help when it's a little bit too late. In such a scenario, is there a possibility that someone can go blind if they take long to get this attention?
We have degenerative, we call them degenerative myopia or hyperopia. That's a condition that you are corrected, yes, but you're using very high powers and your vision is not improving much or not improving at all. So it's a possibility that you have really poor vision with glasses since you were not corrected earlier on. People with diabetes and hypertension are also at a higher risk of developing conditions that might not be helped with glasses. Like retinopathies, we have diabetic retinopathies. They're associated with people with diabetes. So we always advise them to get a regular eye checkup, since if the condition is diagnosed earlier, it will be easier to manage. Yes.
All right, so how long have you been in the country? For how long has LabAir been in existence? And where exactly would people get or reach out to you? And are you also in other countries?
Yes. So LabAir has been in Kenya for 3 years. It's an organization that started in Kenya. However, we expanded to the Ivory Coast. We are also in Uganda. We are also in Mali. In Kenya, you can find us in Westlands on Raptor Road. And then we are also currently in Nakuru, on Government Road in Nakuru. Like our plans for Kenya is to expand and have more shops to be able to give people closer access. What we would advise people to go is to visit our website, www.lapairglasses.com, where they're able to chat with us or talk to us about their problems. So for regular people, it's actually recommended that every year you should have your eyes tested, just as we are recommended to do a normal health test for the rest of our body.
All right.
So that you can actually find these problems earlier. And maybe some of the things that people can look out for in their friends and families or for themselves. My personal experience is on watching news, looking at the words that are written at the bottom.
Right.
And I found that they were too small. And I complained to everybody that why do they make the guys in the studio make the words too small? But the people around me could read. So I knew, actually I'm the problem. So I need to go and find this out. And if you have young ones as well, if you see them maybe like watching TV or looking at something like a billboard or something, and they need to be closer, then you should realize that probably you need to take this person for an eye test. At La Paix, we do provide free eye tests for people. So it is recommended that every year you should do it at least once.
One would ask then, why should I, if I am not experiencing any complications after all? I mean, I'm able to see well, I do not squint, I do not have any pains. What is the essence of having the test after all?
Yeah, I think this is ideal for Diana to answer.
So you will only know if you're tested. The eye is a very small organ, but it has a lot. So you might, apart from just vision, you might find out that there's only one way to find out when you get a test. Some condition develop with very minor signs and symptoms, and then over time they will get worse. So when they are diagnosed earlier, or when they are diagnosed earlier, it will be easier to manage. So with the regular checkups, you will get to know when it's just starting.
All right. Yes. Random checks or random things that you probably need to look out for. Like, the director says his was, a scenario where he could look at the TV and some of the wordings seemed so small for them, yet other people could. What are some of the things, the random ones, that we'd probably, encounter on a daily basis that would get us, having that need to proceed and have checkups?
You can get photophobia, that is you don't know how to tolerate light, so people will be comfortable and you'll be saying this light is too much, just switch off the lights, such things. You'll get tearing, your eyes will always be tearing one time or another. You'll feel foreign body sensation, there's something in my eye and I cannot remove it, such things. And then also the very obvious one is when your vision, you realize that you need to move closer than you used to. Maybe you used to read something, like maybe for him, maybe earlier on he used to read the footnotes at the TV, but with the time they got smaller, or he thought they are not so clear as they used to. So just watch out for your vision. You will know, because usually when I sit here, I'm able to read the TV. But with the time, if you feel that you need to move closer, then that's when you really need to get an eye checkup.
Some of these habits that we pick on the way that would probably be, a cause for eye problems that we probably need to drop. Most of the times you're told, don't be so close to your phone, but well, we are notorious on that, and a couple of other things. What are some of them that we probably need to avoid?
First of all, you need to avoid self-diagnosing. People are very quick to be like, hey, you are wearing glasses, so just let me have your glasses. I feel comfortable with them. Usually it may just be comfortable, but it's not the right one for you. So instead of solving your situation, you'll be making it worse. We offer free eye checkup, so it's just a walk-in, and then we even deliver your glasses. So it's easier to just get tested and get the correct glasses for you. Also, we have, for people who have normal vision and maybe they spend a lot of time on a computer, or they spend a lot of time on devices, on phones, we have anti-glare glasses. They don't have any power if your vision is okay. So with anti-glare glasses, they will help you more dealing with the devices, because they come with a lot of glare. Yes.
All right, reminds me of a time when some entity came to campus where I was schooling, so they would offer free eye care and checkups and all that, and maybe advise whether you need spectacles or not. And 3/4 of the people were told that they needed spectacles, and for a moment we thought, is this genuine at all? So how confident can one be that you're going to get genuine tests and genuine results when they march into the pair?
Yeah, I think this is a very important question, and it is something that we face in Kenya and in some other countries where there are not enough qualified people to do the eye test, and we have some self-taught people practicing the testing. So we actually have worked and in conjunction with the Ministry of Health to ensure that people actually get the best care that they can get. And the number one thing that we do is make sure that the person you're speaking to is an optometrist, who is fully qualified to take care of your eyes, not only for refractive error, not only for the need of glasses, but to also tell you about maybe signs of diseases that may be oncoming. So this is the most important thing, is that when you come to La Paix, you're dealing with a qualified individual, a fully qualified individual to you. Just to add a little bit on the earlier question,
right?
One of the other things that people can do for free, as you said, our lifestyle needs us to be on screens now all the time.
Yeah.
What you could do for free is use what we call the 20-20-20 rule, which is every 20 minutes is take a 20-second break.
Okay.
Just to look at something far away, ideally 20 feet. If you're in a room with a window, you can look outside the window. If you're in a large room, just look across for just 20 seconds, and then you continue with your work. So these are for people who your eyes are good, you don't need the glasses, you're not really getting that much irritated. To keep your eyes healthy, you can do this absolutely for free. Yes.
All right, that's great. Someone says, kindly expound some more on the 3,000 aspect that you spoke about. Is this money for glasses, or what exactly, or how intense?
This is it's a very important question, because a lot of places sell the lenses and the frames separately. We put it as a package all together.
Okay.
So this is for prescription glasses, which have your lens, which have your prescription, and a frame of your choice. So you got to choose on any frame because they're all made by us and labeled La Paire.
Okay.
So you get to choose any frame of your choice. And they also come with an anti-glare coating and UV protection as standard.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. So that doesn't really matter like how intense your eye condition is?
So it actually does. So it is important that you come in for a test. I think, as Diana mentioned, we have some people who their eyes have degenerated to a level where either the glasses might not help that much, or we need to make for them special lenses.
Okay.
These are rare cases, and for these special lenses, what we do is we do them overseas. And for these individuals, we may, what we would do is we would add the cost of getting them from overseas.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, and so Kama is asking, what if I come with my lenses? Would I be able to get the frames, and at how much?
No, she would not, because the frames are usually the lenses are usually cut for a specific frame.
Okay.
So to replace them or to put them into another frame is really difficult and a lot of times not possible.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let's come back to you and briefly take us through what it is that you have. Sometimes someone is curious on, in as much as spectacles are, for medication purposes, sometimes, you want to look good. You want to have the beautiful lenses that we're speaking about. You want to have something that would fit your shape and all that. So most of the people we tend to want to understand that, would want to be advised what would be the best frame for you, the shape and all that.
Okay, just as you've said, apart from correcting your vision, we also want you to look good at the same time.
Yes.
So at La Paire we have very different types of frames and different types of frames. As you can see, like this collection over here, they're all different colors and different shapes. So when you come, we look at the shape of your face. Okay. A lot of times people just go for what they prefer, but we'll just be there to tell you, oh, this one may not look so good, or this one is the perfect one. So we also consider, like, you can look at this frame, it is metallic. A lot of people have allergies, so they will react to the metal. They might not immediately, but over time they'll find out that it's irritating to them. So yeah, such factors we consider, and then we advise along the way during the treatment. Yeah.
For the look as well, you would be advised, like a stylist. Your optometrist will also be like a stylist.
Okay.
Where they would tell you if your face is very round, for example, that a completely round frame may not be the best for you. If your face is very square, maybe some rounded edges can help accentuate your look. Also the colors and the material is something that you can be helped to choose. Of course, there is preference because this is something that's going on your face.
Yeah.
And as someone who suffers from short-sightedness, I have had this experience where matching the style that I want and the price has been a problem sometimes. Yes. And so the freedom to be able to choose any frame
At the same, an affordable
yes,
rate?
At
Okay.
the same price. Has been really important to me and a lot of the customers that we've met. And we have tested over 50,000 people so far.
Okay.
And over 35,000 people that needed glasses have been able to be helped through La Paix.
All right. Okay. So, what other, nitty-gritties are in existence as of now, or are you offering right now for the country? Apart from the affordable rates and everything, do you traverse different parts? In trying to get people to know this.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So one of the things that we try to do is to be as close to the community as possible.
Okay.
And so we arrange for community groups, for company organizations, for example, for schools as well. The eye check, similar to what you had at your school, we would send our team of optometrists to your school, to your church, to your company. We have tested factories, we have tested taxi companies. We are looking at partnering with some matatu SACCOs as well for the safety on the road. Some of our optometrists were shocked when we tested drivers to find that some people have been driving and their eyes are really, really degenerated. So what we are trying to do is bring this free testing to where people are. So this is something else that people can contact us about if you want to test for your community group, for your school, for your organization. We will send a team and they will test everybody for free, and you'll get a report for free.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, that's incredible. Coming back to you, what are the most common eye problems or diseases that we have in the country as it now, and are there any solutions attached to the same?
Myopia is what most people call short-sightedness.
Okay.
It's the most common type of refractive error. We have other conditions that are associated with it. So there's a condition called keratoconus, where the cornea becomes cone-shaped. So in such a scenario, it is the person is usually has a very poor vision, and they will require, as Alan had said earlier on, they would require a very special lens to help with that situation. So that is one of the most common one, and it usually needs a lot of more. It needs a lot of focus on it, because it's something that over time might change. We might have a very big change.
Okay.
So once you are diagnosed, once you have keratoconus, you'll be a regular visitor at the facility, because we have to watch how your vision is changing over time. Yes.
All right. Now that you speak about care and all that, and sometimes being people overlooking some of these signs that would probably necessitate their visit to eye specialists to get some of these answers or to get to know the conditions of their eyes. I would then want to ask you, in comparison to the other countries that you're working with as La Paix, do you suppose there's some level of laxity in how we focus on caring on of our eyes, or on our eyes?
I would say there is some laxity, because we have maybe even parts of our country that are very underserved, where people don't have actually that opportunity. But there also has been a lot of good work that has been done. We do have government facilities where people are able to have a test for a small amount of money, at 100 shillings. We also have some facilities where there are some affordable glasses. However, one of the things or the failures that is there with these facilities is style. Where it's okay, so you need something cheap, so we'll just make it for you. All of you get to choose this one. Okay. And it doesn't look good. Yeah. So I think there's some little things that that we could do better. But one of the major things is to give provide that awareness for everybody, so that they know more about their eyes, so that we are answering more questions, but also giving them that ability to be tested if they want to and when they want to.
All right.
Yes.
So let's come to the frames. How would you then advise one to go for one frame and leave the other? And is there any specific information one needs to note or to take note of?
There's some.
Can I jump in a little
Right,
bit? As a sufferer of this problem.
Yes.
So there are definitely a lot of things from even like the length where it should fit comfortably behind your ears.
Okay.
To allow you to move around comfortably, to look down and up and move around in your daily life without having problems. So the fit is something where sometimes we will speak to someone and say, okay, if you're in a rush and you want this particular one, it's not ideal for you. So this is usually one of the reasons why we would tell someone not to choose something that they liked.
Right.
Is it needs to fit well. The other thing is it needs to not squeeze your head. We have a lot of individuals who you will see when they remove their glasses.
Yes.
There's a deep line which has been made around their face. This can actually cause headaches, and they might be feeling maybe it's the time I spent on the computer, maybe it's the time I've spent watching TV, but actually your glasses are squeezing your head. So looking for something that's your correct size. If you really want something and it's not fitting you, we will adjust it for you.
Okay.
But this will just make it take a little bit longer for you to get your glasses. So this is the number one reason for us to tell someone, don't take this. Of course, on style, if you feel that someone doesn't look great, but they insist that this is my look,
okay,
we're very happy for you to express your individuality and enjoy it. So on the fit, it's because it will actually cause you problems in the long run. Yeah.
All right.
Once you're driving and your glasses fall off, and now you're in danger and putting other people in danger.
And that's one thing that we probably need to focus on. Probably that's the reason why you said most of the people have this notion that when you get into glasses, your eye conditions probably get worse. Most of the people will find their eyes, sucked in even deeper, and then these lines that we're talking about, maybe dark circles around. What needs to be done for such to be avoided, or for as long as you're wearing your glasses for a long time, then you cannot avoid such?
It's important that you get the correct correction for your glasses. That starts with when you're getting refracted, you'll get the correct powers for your refractive error. That's the most important thing. And then also on the part of the frame, as Alan has mentioned, you have to get the correct fit. Some people are not really keen on the style, which is okay, so they'll just say, pick one for me, just any, I'm just comfortable with whatever you pick. So for such a person, you make sure that when they have their glasses on, it does not cover your eyebrows, because your eyebrows are how you express yourself sometimes. And then also as you speak with the glasses on, you make sure that the glasses are not moving, so your cheeks are not moving the glasses up and down. And then also when you look down, your glasses just fit right. Yeah, so those are some of the basic things that you might look at if you're not really keen on style and all. Yeah.
All right. And after how long should one, get their glasses changed, maybe their lenses changed and all that?
Yeah. So it's not necessary that you will have them changed, but it is important that you have them checked.
Okay.
After every 2 years, you should have your lenses checked. But also, as Diana mentions, we do have individuals who, maybe for example, diabetic, where it's recommended that you check sooner, 6 months, every 6 months. So it might depend on the individual, but in general, at least every 2 years, you should have the lenses checked or the power checked to make sure that you're using the correct power. As she has mentioned, one of the problems or one of the reasons why someone might suffer because of glasses is they're using the wrong power, and that can actually make their eyes degenerate faster.
Let's talk about the frames. In 2 years then from Lapea, one is guaranteed that, well, you still have your frames intact for as long as you take good care of them in terms of color, in terms of, them being strong enough.
Yes, so one of the things that I would say as someone who wears glasses is, for example, like the plastic frames are extremely durable.
Yeah.
So even if you don't take that great care, if you drop them, for example, they will still be good. But one of the things that is advised in general, so the weak part of your glasses is the arms.
Yes.
Is when you want to remove, is to use both your hands.
Okay.
To avoid stretching it on one side, because if you remove with one hand, you could maybe pull a little bit and you stretch the other side. So for durability, I think that's one of the tips. And then of course keep it in a case. Because for falling down and things like that, it's not that dangerous. The issue is someone will sit on it or someone will step on it. So if you can keep it in a case all the time, it will definitely last you even more than 2 years. The only issue is that the lenses or the power of your eyes might have changed.
Okay.
And so you might not need new lenses.
All right, so speaking of lenses, care.
When you get your glasses, you're usually given a small piece of cloth that you're supposed to wipe it. Most people do it for the first 3 months, and then after that they start using their clothes, the neck, the tissue paper, the closest thing around that can wipe your lens. That is not advisable because it scratches your lenses, and when your lenses are scratched, you will get a lot of interference with lighting, because now the surface is not smooth. It's not smooth, so you'll have a lot of photophobia. You'll not be comfortable under lighting, and that's one of the reasons we advise that you come back for a checkup after some time. That's the most important.
Most important thing about the care.
Yes.
You only do glasses, or there are a couple of other things that you do well apart from the checkups and all that? Lens, contact eyes.
So for now, what we do is the glasses and eye care advice.
Okay.
And the reason for this is we, for example, when going to organization, we go to factories, we go to all types of situations where some of these situations are not ideal for contacts. Now, contacts are good, but not everybody who wants contact is a candidate for contacts. I think, Danny, you can tell them some of the things or some of the reasons why someone would not be eligible.
So there are a lot of factors to consider for a person to actually have contact lenses. Most of the suitable candidates are people with very high refractive powers, that their lenses might end up being very heavy. And then also we consider hygiene, because more often than not, it might be a problem having contact lenses and you're not, say, in a very conducive environment. Maybe you're working in a very dusty place, maybe you spend a lot of time in places where there's splashing of water and a lot other things. So contact lenses might bring other eye conditions if not really looked keenly into. So before that, we usually advise that you undergo a process just to watch if you're the ideal candidate for it, because you'd rather have spectacles that are heavy than contact lenses that might get you other worse conditions.
All right. Beauty. And I'll ask you this because you're a woman, and sometimes I want my makeup on and everything. In as much as I am doing contacts or probably I'm doing glasses, sometimes we can tend to overdo. What are the dangers of such? Or for as long as you have your glasses on, well, your eye condition is catered for. However extra you'd want to go with makeup.
Okay. For makeup, it's considered it's okay to have makeup on. It's not really a big factor, considering if you're not allergic. By now you'd have known if you're allergic to anything that you're using. But for people who maybe get allergies or have itchy eyes, it might not be advisable, because with makeup on, you'll scratch your eyes and you'll end up having the makeup inside your eye. It's not advisable for people who have allergies or other eye conditions. Even if you're tearing, it's not advisable. For contact lens and beauty, there are different types of contact lens. once a day. There's one that goes for a month or even 3 months. There's also contact lens that you can have on for a year. So if you're having contact lens for beauty, you have to be very keen and just observe hygiene. Yes.
Do we have glasses for beauty at La Paix?
Yes, you can get, not really, I wouldn't say beauty, but while getting at beauty, you will have it with anti-glare and photochromatic lenses. So that means that it will help you under different conditions of lighting, say from artificial lighting from your devices, your computer, TV, even on coming cars at night, it will help with that. And also photochromatic part, when you're under the sun and you feel like this sun is too much, it changes according to the intensity of the sun. So when it's so bright, your glasses will be darker. So I
think my gallery people would need such, honestly, because the gallery people, the people who are behind, they are always with the cameras and always with the televisions around them, trying to monitor.
Yes.
All right. As we come to a close, when we talk about the standard, the 3,000 bob, because in most cases people are always very interested in such. What is this standard that we're talking about? What is this other one that would get you saying that you probably need to add an extra amount?
All right. So as a standard, it means that you have a prescription within the normal range, and not necessarily with a prescription. For the people who just want anti-glare, it will still cost them the 3,400. It means you get any frame of your choice, and we have over 100 frame choices for someone to choose from. It also means that your glasses have anti-glare and UV protection.
Okay.
Now, if somebody, for example, has the problem that you mentioned earlier, where the sunlight will affect you, and you need them to go dark, that's a separate coating, and that would increase the price to 5,700. If it's the issue she mentioned where somebody has a very high power and we need to do this overseas, we would add 4,700 for the shipping of making these glasses overseas. Now we wouldn't be able to know if you have these extra issues without having a test first. So if you're within or close to us, you please come to us and have a test. If not, if you can go to any eye care facility near you, and when you get tested, you ask for the prescription. And from that prescription, we'll be able to advise someone if they can get the glasses for 3,400. If they need to be made overseas, we'll explain them why and how their problem will be solved.
All right, thank you so much, Alan Matata, Country Director, La Paix Glasses Kenya, and Diana Langat, optometrist with La Paix Glasses Kenya. It was good having you this morning. Unless there's something else that we'd want to have again, time would probably not allow us to expound some more on that. It was good having you, and we hope to have more and more conversations in regards to eye care, which is pretty important. And also still with the sad news that arrives on our desks this morning, Garissa Senator Yusuf Haji is dead. This is confirmed by his family. He passed on the Aga Khan Hospital this morning. A lot of leaders have come out to pass their condolences messages, and we'll be having them running on your screen so that we get to hear what it is that most of these leaders have said in reaction to that. Right Honorable Raila Odinga says, in the passing of Senator Yusuf Haji, Kenya has lost a dedicated patriot and a humble servant. We can only thank him for the years of his life that he gave in service of the country. His last great public passion being the Building Bridges initiative. At this sad moment, we stand in prayers with his family that carries on with his passion for public service. Deputy President Dr. William Ruto, the country has lost a devoted and indefatigable, administrator who was cause-driven, and Senator Mohammed Yusuf Haji was a gifted politician, modest yet a strategic schemer with groundbreaking mediation skills. He was selfless, progressive, dependable, and a committed champion for a more united and inclusive Kenya. We will fondly remember Honorable Haji as a leader who robustly upheld and reinforced the reputation and integrity of public service. Our thoughts and prayers are with the Haji family, their loved ones, and the people of Garissa County. Rest in peace, Honorable Haji. President Uhuru Kenyatta mourns Garissa Senator Yusuf Haji. That is on Nairobi, the 15th February 2021. President Uhuru Kenyatta has sent a message of comfort to the family, acquaintances, and residents of Garissa County following the death of their Senator Mohammed Yusuf Haji. We'll be giving you updates in regards to these condolences messages as and when they hit our desk. But importantly, also we give you updates on the same. As always, in the Muslim fraternity, we expect him to be buried was today, and so we'll be updating you accordingly in regards to this as and when they get to hit our desks. And here we have Janaza prayers for Senator Yusuf Haji to be held at 4 p.m. at the South Sea Mosque, to be interred at the Langata Muslim Cemetery. And of course, we'll be having our reporters on ground to update you accordingly. Otherwise, it was good having you this morning on Morning Cafe. I don't think I qualify as one of the people who should get eye care, because you've seen me squinting and trying to strain so I'd be able to read some of these tweets. It's because of this light, so it's not because I know you guys were looking at me as though, yes, this one, this one.
We'll test you for free just to make sure.
Well, once again, Diana Langat and Alan Matata, all from La Paix.